years, real estate tycoon Rose had hidden her true identity to protect her boyfriend's fragile ego. Today, she finally received his long-awaited proposal and excitedly drove to the venue, only to crash head-on into a delivery man, sending both of them sprawling. Jack, who had been riding on Rose's tricycle, jumped off, ready to explode in anger. But before he could, Rose handed him a thick stack of cash as compensation. Just as she was about to leave, her gaze inadvertently landed on the crescent-shaped birthmark on his wrist, triggering a vague sense of familiarity in her mind. However, she had no time to dwell on it and quickly rushed to the proposal site. To her shock, the woman being proposed to was not her, it was a pregnant mistress. And the ring her boyfriend was using? The very one Rose had prepared herself. Furious, Rose vowed to make these two cheaters pay. But before she could act, her boyfriend suddenly shoved her into the street, where she was hit by an oncoming vehicle and knocked unconscious. He didn't even hesitate, grabbing his mistress and fleeing the scene. The driver who hit her was none other than the delivery man from earlier. But in reality, Jack had another identity, the CEO of the world's largest delivery corporation. When Rose woke up, she had lost her memory. Mistaking Jack for her boyfriend, she excitedly assumed he was the one proposing to her. Coincidentally, Jack was being pressured by his mother to get married, so he went along with it, and they registered their marriage on the spot. Believing each other to be poor, they moved into a tiny, rundown apartment together. When Rose spotted a cockroach, she screamed and instinctively jumped into Jack's arms, making him blush in embarrassment. At the same time, Jack's company was preparing to acquire a property owned by Rose. But when they finally met at the negotiating table, they were both shocked. They knew each other. Panicking, they quickly claimed they were just there as guests. However, when Rose accidentally dropped her Porsche keys, Jack immediately noticed. Embarrassed, she lied, claiming they were just a toy. But sharp-eyed Rose soon spotted Jack's Patek Philippe watch, making her suspicious of his true identity. Caught off guard, Jack lied, insisting it was a fake. Just then, a sudden power outage plunged their home into darkness. Frightened, Rose instinctively leaped into Jack's arms. In that moment of warmth and closeness, they momentarily forgot their suspicions. The next day, Rose was randomly selected for a lucky draw at a real estate event and won a luxurious 200-square-meter villa. She was overjoyed, unaware that Jack had orchestrated everything behind the scenes. Watching her excitement, he couldn't help but smile. But before Jack could say anything, Rose sold the villa for cash and gave all the money to Jack, urging him to start his own business. Touched by her sincerity, Jack gifted her a set of luxury cosmetics. Rose, delighted, rewarded him with a kiss, leaving Jack stunned and frozen in place. Rose ran a small cake shop. One day, while delivering a cake to a banquet, she unexpectedly ran into her ex-boyfriend and his mistress. Dressed humbly, she became their target of mockery and humiliation, and they even raised their hands to hit her. Luckily, Jack arrived just in time to stop them. But to Jack's surprise, the hotel owner personally recognized Rose, making him even more suspicious of her true background. Before he could question her, Rose kissed him, effectively silencing his doubts. When Rose's best friend learned that she and Jack still hadn't consummated their marriage, she doubted Jack's abilities as a man. To test him, Rose prepared a special herbal tonic meant to enhance his vitality. Unfortunately, the dose was too strong, causing Jack to get a nosebleed. Feeling both guilty and self-conscious, Rose began to suspect that Jack wasn't attracted to her. Drunk and heartbroken, she kissed him, only for Jack, who had a cleanliness obsession, to wipe his mouth in disgust at the scent of alcohol. Convinced that Jack didn't love her, Rose finally confessed her long-hidden feelings. She told him how she had been bullied in high school and how he had saved her. Ever since that day, she had been deeply in love with him. "I've loved you for years, but you were always abroad," she admitted, kissing him again. This time, Jack didn't refuse her. However, he wrongly assumed that Rose was mistaking him for her ex-boyfriend, which left him secretly bothered and jealous. On Jack's birthday, Rose handmade a cake for him. Touched by her gesture, Jack couldn't resist kissing her. Just as he was about to finally confess his real identity, the doorbell rang. It was Rosa Sr., who had just returned from overseas. He had been in love with Rose for years, and now he had come back to confess his feelings. Jack, seeing how close they were, immediately dragged Rose to his side, his jealousy flaring. When the senior openly declared that Rose had always been in love with someone else since high school, Jack was even more unsettled. "Are you jealous?" Rose teased him playfully. Jack grabbed her hand and, in a rare moment of seriousness, said, "Yes, and I'm very jealous." Startled, Rose instinctively tried to escape, but Jack pulled her into his arms and kissed her possessively. "You're not allowed to love anyone else," he declared. But then, her senior revealed the truth. Jack had pretended to be her boyfriend and tricked her into marriage. The moment Rose heard this, her head ached and she collapsed. When she woke up, she refused to see Jack. It was clear she had regained her memory. Jack was devastated. He drank himself into oblivion at a bar, only to fall into a trap. Someone secretly took intimate photos of him with another woman. Rose's ex-boyfriend soon arrived, smugly waving the photos in her face. Although deeply hurt, Rose struck back first. She revealed that his mistress's unborn child wasn't even his. Enraged, her ex and the mistress got into a violent fight, and she lost the baby. Blaming Rose, the mistress suddenly pulled out a knife, but Jack arrived just in time to save her. However, Jack's assistant accidentally exposed his true identity. He was never poor, but the CEO of a multinational empire. Feeling betrayed and deceived, Rose decided to divorce him. At the same time, Jack's mother, who never approved of Rose due to her background as a cake baker, arranged for him to marry a wealthy heiress, Amy. Coincidentally, Amy was the woman from the scandalous photos. Jack detested her. When Jack's mother took Amy to buy a luxury property, they ran into Rose, who was mistaken for a food delivery worker. Jack's mother mocked her condescendingly, only to find out that Rose had just purchased an entire building complex in cash. Jack's mother, assuming she used Jack's money, scoffed. Rose laughed coldly and threw the purchase contract at her feet, leaving her speechless. Determined to win Rose back, Jack pretended to be homeless, clung to her, and begged for shelter. Worn down by Jack's persistence, Rose had no choice but to let him stay temporarily. Jack, however, intentionally injured himself to gain her sympathy. Rose planned to treat his wound and kick him out immediately, but in the process of pushing him away, she stumbled onto the sofa, accidentally yanking his tie. Jack toppled over with her, and before she could react, he seized the opportunity to kiss her. Blushing furiously, Jack warned her not to move. Rose noticed the changes in his body and instantly shoved him away. Seizing the moment, Jack quickly explained the truth behind the photos with Amy. Hearing his explanation, Rose forgave him, mostly. But she wasn't about to let him off so easily. She decided to prank him as payback for hiding his true identity. When Jack went to shower, Rose secretly took away his clean clothes, replacing them with an elegant and seductive lace nightgown. Jack, now pale as a sheet, awkwardly nodded in greeting before sprinting back to the bathroom. It was highly unlikely that he would be able to show his face in front of those two again anytime soon. Meanwhile, Amy's true motives for approaching Jack were finally revealed. She was after his confidential bid proposal. She secretly accessed his documents, but before she could act, Jack's mother caught her. Panicked, Amy knocked her unconscious. Later, at the bidding event, just as Jack offered $8 billion, Amy's father raised the stakes to $10 billion, smugly assuming victory was his. But just as he prepared to claim the land, the shocking truth was revealed. The real owner of the land was Rose. She and Jack had set a trap for Amy's family, leading them to bankruptcy. With everyone celebrating around them, Jack dropped to one knee and proposed to Rose. This time, she said yes. They embraced. Their love story finally reached its perfect ending.